Stepmom demanded I pay $800 rent, so I evicted her, her 2 freeloader kids, and took back the $1,200,000 house my grandparents secretly left me. I lost my mother to breast cancer when I was 8. It sucked, obviously, but we made it through. However, my father was absolutely wrecked, and he was scarcely able to function for the first year. By the way, my mother's parents are amazing saints and stepped up big time. They practically moved in with us to assist care for me while my father dealt with his loss and attempted to keep his business functioning. Quick remark regarding the house situation, because it will be very significant later. My grandparents were rather well off. Not very rich, but comfortable enough to purchase this massive 4-bedroom home in one of Boston's nicer districts. The plan was that we'd all live together so they could properly raise me. To be honest, that worked really well for a while. But then my father met Tracy, not her real name but it fits her perfectly, LOL, at a business conference in Chicago approximately 2 years after my mother died. He was there to grow his consultancy business or whatever, and she was working as an event coordinator. According to him, they simply clicked. Tracy must have seen an opportunity with a sad widower who ran his own business because she practically traveled across the nation to be with him after only knowing him for about 3 months. And to their astonishment, they married after 6 months of meeting. Talk about red flags. Here's where the fun begins. Tracy brought her 2 children with her. Brandon, now 25, was 11 years old and already a spoiled brat. Sierra, 21F now, was 7 years old and wasn't too horrible at first. But Tracy gradually transformed her into a mini clone of herself. My grandparents tried to be kind about it, but I overheard them late at night discussing how they didn't trust Tracy. They assumed she was only pursuing Dad's money. Plot twist. They were correct. But they kept quiet for Dad's sake, since he appeared joyful for the first time since Mom's death. The first few years were tough. Tracy began small with her BS comments about how the house was adorned. Old-fashioned, it wasn't. How the kitchen needed upgrading, it didn't. And how my grandparents were set in their ways. But then she became braver. She began moving furniture without permission, threw out some of Mom's old decorations, claiming they were accumulating dust, and gradually took over the home. My grandparents were too nice to say anything, and my father was too love-blind to notice. Then the tasks began. At first it was natural that everyone should help around the house, right? Except everyone became just me. Brandon was overly preoccupied with athletics. He struggled at basketball, but Tracy had Dad pay for individual coaching regardless. Sierra was too young, despite being only 1 year younger than me. By the time I was 12, I was doing the majority of the cooking and cleaning. Tracy would literally inspect the baseboards with her finger to see whether I had dusted correctly. Meanwhile, Brandon's room smelled like a mix of Axe body spray and old pizza, and Sierra's floor was continuously covered in clothes she was intending to put away. Here's the truly essential part, which I didn't know until recently. Grandma died in 2019 from heart difficulties, and Grandpa died just 3 months later because he couldn't live without her. They registered the residence in my name. Like, legally. It is all mine. They must have sensed this drama coming from a mile away and wished to protect me. But I had no idea about it. Nobody told me. Dad was aware, but I suppose he didn't believe it was necessary to mention. So, for the past few years, I've effectively been living like a servant in my own home, cooking, cleaning, and washing everyone's laundry. Yes, including Brandon's stinky gym clothes. While Tracy sat on her ass watching Real Housewives and whining about how I loaded the dishwasher incorrectly. Brandon graduated from college 2 years ago. Barely. He claims he's trying to be a content creator. However, his TikTok has only 200 followers and is mostly just him executing terrible dance moves. Badly. Sierra is in her 3rd year of college, ostensibly studying business but actually just partying and uploading pretty Instagram photos of her Starbucks cups. Dad pays for everything. Her apartment near university, which she seldom uses because she is often at home, her car, which she has crashed twice, and her credit cards, which she maxes up every month. And there I was, working part-time at Starbucks, taking online classes, doing all the housekeeping and trying to save money because Tracy kept implying that I needed to start contributing to the household. The day everything went down began like any other bad day in my house. I'm in the kitchen making this spaghetti recipe I discovered on TikTok NGL, and Tracy walks in, dressed in one of her apparently beautiful dresses. I'm pretty sure it came from Ross, but whatever. She takes a seat at the kitchen island and keeps a close eye on me while I prepare. I'm already on edge since she constantly finds something to complain about in my food. Then she lays the bombshell on me. We need to have a serious discussion about your living situation. I'm like, what living situation? I have been here longer than you, lady. But she continues. Your father and I have been chatting, and we believe it is time you started paying rent. After all, you're working now, so it's not fair for you to live here for free while we cover all of your bills. Y'all. This woman's boldness. I'm genuinely standing there, wooden spoon in hand, sauce probably burning, trying to digest this BS. Meanwhile, I can hear Brandon upstairs yelling about his KD ratio and KOD while Sierra's TikTok sounds are coming from the living room. So I ask her, trying not to raise my voice because I'm petty but not foolish, what about Brandon and Sierra? Are they also paying rent? Well, that is different. They are my children, and they are still establishing themselves in life. Brandon is pursuing his content creation job, and Sierra is concentrating on her education. I almost laughed aloud. But here's when it gets good. Tracy begins to set out her realistic rent requirements, $800 per month in this economy plus utilities, with the expectation that I continue to assist out around the house. I'm standing there stirring the pasta sauce when something inside me snaps. All the years of being treated like Cinderella, all the snarky remarks, all the extra duties, all the times I had to wash Brandon's crusty gym socks or pick up Sierra's artificial lashes from the bathroom floor, it all hit me at once. So I turn off the burner, safety first, set down the spoon and stare Tracy dead in her over-Botoxed expression. Let me get this straight, I say, my voice unusually calm. Brandon, who hasn't earned a single dollar since graduation and spends his days yelling at 12-year-olds on Xbox, doesn't have to pay rent. Sierra, who maxes out her credit cards buying Shein hauls and has never touched a vacuum in her life, doesn't have to pay rent, but I do. Tracy's face twitches strangely. She starts talking about how I'm more established, how family helps family, and other nonsense she undoubtedly saw in a Facebook mom group. That was when I decided to detonate my own bomb. But first, I summoned everyone to the dining room. I told Tracy I wanted to talk about this because her family used deceptive tactics against her. Ha ha ha. Brandon complained about leaving his game while Sierra behaved as if getting off the couch was physical torment. But gradually everyone was seated at the table. Tracy begins explaining her plan to everyone, treating all officials as if she were the CEO. Brandon is smirking, most likely thinking about how he can spend his allowance on more V-Bucks now that I will be paying the bills. Sierra is capturing everything for her personal tale. The girl enjoys drama, as long as it doesn't include her. And that is when I did it. That's when I spoke the words that altered everything. I'm not paying rent because this house belongs to me. I wish I had recorded it, folks. I wish I had a photo of their faces. It was as if I had just spoken in an alien language. Brandon really stopped in the middle of his meal, his fork hanging there and spaghetti falling back into his plate. Gross. Sierra's jaw really dropped, and it was the first genuine look I had seen on her face since she found filters. But Tracy. Oh man. Tracy's reaction was priceless. You know the loading wheel that appears when your computer freezes. That was her face. Her brain seemed to be unable to grasp what I had just spoken. Then they all began laughing, like full-fledged hysterical laughter. Good one. Brandon snorts, pasta sauce dripping down his chin. Did you acquire that through TikTok or something? Sierra has already pulled out her phone, undoubtedly thinking this would be wonderful content for her Relatable Family Moments series, which has about 50 followers tops. Tracy is also attempting to laugh, but I can tell that panic is setting in. She has that face she gets when her credit card is refused at Nordstrom Rack, which happens more frequently than you may imagine. What are you talking about? She attempts to be dismissive, but her voice shakes. This house is mine and your father's. This is where things start to get good. I simply recline back in my chair, attempting to exude that calm villain spirit, you know. Also say, why don't you call and ask Dad? She puts it on speaker, like she always does. She enjoys an audience when she believes she is about to win an argument. The phone rings several times before Dad answers. He sounds fatigued, possibly because he was working while his stepson was developing his brand or something. Tracy's voice is pleasant and phony when she says Mark, as if she's trying to gain an upgrade at a hotel. Lucy is telling some interesting stories about the house. She says it belongs to her. That's not true, right? Well, actually, my in-laws put the house in Lucy's name before they passed away. Boom. Tracy's face changed colors more than my previous mood ring. First with Claire's red, then white, and finally this strange greenish tint I'd never seen on a human before. What do you mean they put it in her name? She practically screams now. When were you going to tell me this? I didn't think it was that important. My father adds softly. You didn't think it was important to tell me that your teenage daughter owns our house? She hangs up on him mid-sentence. Brandon is not laughing anymore. He becomes pale when he realizes that the game area he told me to leave was actually mine. Sierra is still recording, but her expression has changed to that of a deer in the headlights. Tracy is breathing as if she had just run a marathon in her false Louboutins. She's trying to remain calm, but I can see her hands shaking. Well, she continues, trying to sound cool but failing miserably. This has clearly been a misunderstanding. Of course you don't have to pay rent, Lucy. Let's just forget this conversation happened. But here's something I didn't want to forget. I was done forgetting all the nonsense they had put me through over the years. Done being the family doormat. I'm tired of them living rent-free in my house and treating me like a personal maid, so I simply smiled and said, "Oh, we're definitely not forgetting this conversation. In fact," I paused for dramatic effect. What can I say? I've learned from the best. I think it's time we had a serious discussion about your living situation. Tracy's terrified expression, better than any Christmas present I have ever received. Okay, so after the nuclear dinner scene, I went to bed feeling really good about myself. What about Tracy? Oh no, she was not done. Definitely not. So the next morning, as I'm about to go downstairs for breakfast, I hear Tracy's voice coming from the kitchen. She's on the phone with my father. And guess what she is doing? Y'all. This woman is literally attempting to persuade my father to let me move out of my own house. Here's the conversation I overheard, which I captured on my phone. Because at this point, I trust these folks as far as I can throw them. Tracy. Mark, you have to do something about this problem. Your daughter is causing problems. Dad, sounding exhausted. What do you want me to do? Tracy. How about the out-of-state institutions she applied to? You could persuade her to attend one of them. Tell her that it will benefit her independence. I swear to God what chutzpah this woman has. She's actually out here trying to ship me off to another state so she can continue to live in my house rent-free. But wait, it gets better. Dad said, I don't know, Tracy. Tracy, in that sugary, honey voice she adopts when manipulating others. Think about it, Mark. She's young. She needs to experience life away from home. And honestly, pause. I'm worried about her mental health. All this anger she's carrying around, it's not healthy. Excuse me? The only thing harming my mental health is living with the bad stepmother from every Disney film combined. But here's the part that really grabbed me. He said, maybe you're right. I'll talk to her about moving out for college. It might be better for everyone. I literally had to bite my fist to stop shouting. Hey Tracy, I replied casually. I was thinking about what you said yesterday. About rent. She perks up like a meerkat, undoubtedly expecting me to back down. I suppose you're correct. People should pay rent to live here. The relief on her expression lasted only about 2 seconds before I dropped the bomb. So I have been conducting some calculations. Based on the market pricing in our area, I believe $1,200 per person is reasonable. That is $3,600 for you, Brandon and Sierra. Of course, that excludes utilities. Oh, there will be a security deposit. Chaos, total chaos. Brandon genuinely choked on his frosted flakes, while Sierra's avocado toast went face down on her new white crop top. Karma is real, people. And Tracy? Tracy appeared to be about to pass out. You can't be serious, she sputters. We are family. Oh, I am dead serious. And since you raised a family, I take out my phone, which has a tape of her morning conversation with Dad queued up. Let's speak about your little plot to ship me off to college. Brandon and Sierra are looking between us like they're watching a tennis match, and the color in her cheeks drained so quickly that I thought she'd pass out. So after I aired the recording of Tracy's phone call, things got crazy. Like Jerry Springer crazy. You've recorded me? She screeches. That's illegal. I simply smile and add, actually, we live in a one-party consent state. I checked. Also, my house and my regulations. Brandon is just sitting there with his mouth open, milk trickling down his chin. I suppose this guy never learned how to eat correctly. Sierra is hurriedly texting someone, most likely her TikTok group chat, where she pretends to be wealthy and unconcerned. Lucy, I understand you're upset, but what about this behavior? Yeah, it's unhealthy. Your father and I are only trying to help you. Perhaps some time away would be beneficial for you. There's this beautiful college in Michigan. I cut her off right then. Tracy, let me make something very clear. I'm not going anywhere. This is my house. The deed is in my name. And if anyone's going to be leaving, it won't be me. That was when she lost it. Completely. You ungrateful little... I won't mention what she called me, but it wasn't very world's best mom for her. She begins to rant about how she raised me as if I were her own by making me their maid, how she gave up everything to be a good stepmother by shopping at TJ Maxx rather than Nordstrom, and how I'm ripping this family apart. What family? Meanwhile, Brandon and Sierra are experiencing their own meltdowns. Brandon, please. This is bulls. I'm not paying rent. I'm about to blow up on Twitch. Narrator. He wasn't going to blow up on Twitch. Sierra is screaming. Daddy won't let you do this. He loves us more than this stupid house. Spoiler alert, he does not. Tracy is screaming. Mark, you need to come home right now. Your daughter is out of control. Dad, surprisingly firm. Tracy, we need to respect that it's her house. Maybe we should start looking for a new place. What about the stillness that followed? OMG. Brandon's brain cells could be heard struggling to digest this betrayal. All three of them. Tracy's face undergoes a fantastic journey of shock, rage, disbelief, and finally, fear. Real terror. Because it has now dawned on her that she is about to lose everything. The comfortable life. The free ride. She has been on a power trip for many years. This is when she makes her worst mistake. She turns towards me, gets right in my face, and says, Listen here, you little bae, I don't care whose name is on the deed. This is my house. I've lived here for 12 years, and no spoiled brat is going to kick me out. I will make your life hell. Perfect. Just perfect. Because guess what? I've also been taping this entire chat. Not only that, but I had already spoken with a lawyer. Thanks to r/legal advice for the recommendations. It turns out that threatening the legal owner of your residence is not a good idea. Who knew? Okay, remember how I discussed speaking with a lawyer? Best decision ever. Turns out my grandparents did more than simply transfer the house in my name. They also set up the entire legal process. Trust? Estate? I'm not sure what legal terminology is, but it basically prevents anyone from contesting it. My lawyer actually laughed when she saw Tracy's legal threats in the texts I showed her. But let me back up a little. The day following Tracy's minor breakdown, I went nuclear. I served them all with legitimate eviction notices, including official court paperwork. Tracy's facial expression when she was served? Priceless. She attempted to refuse to take the documents, but apparently that is not how it works. Thank you, Reddit. Brandon's reaction was precisely as expected. He flung his gaming chair down the stairs, breaking it. Elmo karma. Sierra had a complete Instagram live tantrum. Congratulations on gaining almost 200 followers. What about Tracy? Oh man. Tracy became completely insane. First, she attempted to contact every single lawyer in town. But here's the thing with small-town lawyers. Everyone knows each other, and after the first couple told her she had no case, word spread. Even her DUI cousin refused to touch it. Then she took the social media way, posted a lengthy dramatic Facebook status on how her ungrateful stepdaughter was attempting to make her family homeless. But that backfired when one of my mother's old friends mentioned Tracy's treatment of me throughout the years, accompanied by receipts. But the real drama began when Tracy attempted her final desperate move. She waited until I was at work before attempting to rearrange some things in the house. By reorganizing, I mean she attempted to take some of my mother's old jewels which my grandparents had left for me. Unfortunately for her, I had previously installed surveillance cameras following the eviction notice. Thanks again, Reddit, for the advice. I caught her on film trying to put my mother's antique necklaces into her trashy Michael Kors purse. I called the cops. I filed a report. I showed them the footage. Tracy tried to explain to the police officer that she was only moving jewelry that didn't belong to her. Her phony tears didn't work this time, most likely because her mascara wasn't even running. Waterproof makeup completely undermines the dramatic impact. The officer, an elderly woman, took one look at the scene and was not having it, especially when Tracy tried to play the "but we're family" card. Attempting to steal from the legal owner of this house isn't a family matter. I haven't filed charges yet because having something on file for the eviction case is better. My lawyer was delighted. Speaking of the eviction, remember how Tracy used to talk about her investment accounts and how she was independently wealthy before dating my father? It turns out that was all BS. She has nowhere to go and is in complete panic. The worst part? My father finally grew a spine. Kind of. He told Tracy that if she does not go gently, he will not accompany her. It turns out that even he was tired of her toxic BS after 12 years.
Please like, comment and follow Reddit POV to get more stories like this. See you in the next video.